You've done a lot of work in the energy industry, so where do you see the major changes happening? Are we, for example, the big oil companies, are they really reorientating towards renewables? We've got China still investing huge amounts in coal. So where do you see the shifts happening in the energy sector?
Well, the shift is happening, first of all, in awareness that if we place a continuing reliance upon fossil fuels, then that's not going to be the long-term solution. We still need them in the short term because that's the way essentially economies work. Our transport systems and our economies are essentially based on this, so it's going to take quite an effort to make that transition. But you can see in the major energy companies a change in their portfolio. There's a shift towards gas, which is an important shift because you get 30% less CO2 for the same degree, same amount of energy units. And at the same time you starting to see real interest in solar, in wind, in other types of renewable energy sources. So we're beginning to see this shift. And that will be accelerated by growing trends within society, within the legislative framework and within the markets, and indeed within the equipment manufacturers who will be evolving to different energy sources for drivetrains, for example in cars and urban infrastructure.
Okay. Final question perhaps. You talked in your presentation you gave this morning about the developing countries not repeating the mistakes of the West. How do you see this being taken up in places like Asia? What are the mistakes that they shouldn't repeat?
The mistakes, of course, it's always easy to see with hindsight, and really what I was talking about was from the start of the Industrial Revolution, where companies and indeed society thought that we had a very infinite world with infinite resources, and there was nothing basically wrong therefore in going and using those resources because there was always going to be more of them. But now the awareness has grown that we're in a very small planet and that the demands are such that we have finite resources. So it's important that companies, whether they're in Asia, whether they're in Europe, whether in North America or Latin America, become more efficient in the use of those resources, that we look for closed loops. We look to find systems between companies where waste streams of one company become the feedstock of another, and where we really are concerned about recycling, total life cycle analysis in a way which is actually going to lead to an inherently more sustainable and more efficient system.
Wonderful. Well, thanks for your time.